basic, crucial idea. So we'll start this session. Now, the first C is common sense. Common sense, I have read many management and leadership books, but I have not been able to, all these C's I have off and on, they have not got, they have been referred in some of the other books, but I haven't seen any book in which they have actually discussed about common sense, and this common sense idea is coming from Bhagavad Gita. I don't remember, I haven't seen anything, I haven't read anywhere in any particular book which says that common sense is very essential skill for leadership. And I have actually taken it from Bhagavad Gita because chapter 2 talks about common sense. Now in Sanskrit, common sense means Sahaj Buddhi, and in Hindi, common sense means Vyavaharik Buddhi. Now, and that is what it is, and I'll trace it to the English meaning of it. And in English, it can be literally translated into Vyavaharik Buddhi. Cambridge Dictionary, it describes that the basic level of practical knowledge and judgment that we all need to help us live in a reasonable and safe manner. That's what it says. It says a practical knowledge and judgment, and word practical here is very important. What practical means? The practical, it says, Oxford Dictionary explains what practical means. Practical is acquired through practice or action, not through theory. That's what the emphasis is. Common sense is a knowledge and judgment that we need in our daily, day-to-day living, so that we are safe and we are able to survive. And that practical knowledge is not gained by theory, it is not gained by any intellectuals, it is not gained by big gurus, those who talk about management theories and leadership skills, but it comes from common man. It comes from daily experience. It comes from what you have acquired, what you experience in your life. And that is what common sense is. Once you burn your finger in the fire, you won't put your finger again in the fire. That is common sense. And if you do that again, that means that you are a retarded person, that you lack the basic ability. You cannot make, your faculties cannot discriminate what is good for you and what is bad for you. So that's what common sense is. And in chapter 2, Krishna takes a very common sense approach. He has used two theories in that, which is not been identified, but in modern ways it is identified as risk perception theory, and it is identified as maximum risk theory, which is very common. In economics, we have got this maximum risk theory, whereas in chapter 2, that's what the whole emphasis is. Arjun, the way he's emphasized, the way he's actually seeing the situation, the way he's perceiving the situation is different to what Krishna thinks and feels. Here, the risk that is being analyzed by Arjun is out of proportion, and the risk that Krishna sees is different. And that's where Krishna is trying to emphasize that risk that you see is not what you see. You are not actually afraid of killing people, but you are actually afraid of being killed in this battlefield. And then he comes to this theory, that maximum risk theory, that what have you got to lose in this? He says, if you win this battle, you get a kingdom. If you lose this battle and you die, then you will be remembered in the history as the greatest hero ever lived. But if you run away from this battlefield, you will be doomed in the history of humanity, that your reputation is going to go downhill, that you are not at all a hero. You left the battlefield. And that's where he uses that maximum risk theory, and he's using that approach to motivate Arjun. So he says the risk that you see is not right, and what you think you're going to lose is again not right. What have you got to lose? And then he says, if you die, you will die. Death is unavoidable. You do, you die. You don't do, you still die. Death is unavoidable. Why not make the best of what you have? Now, if you're standing in the battlefield, why not make the best of what you have? Rather than thinking of ifs and buts and thinking what will happen and what will not happen. And that's where chapter 2, verse 47 comes in. He says that you don't have to worry about the fruits of your action. What you have to do is that you have to concentrate on the doing of the action, and that's where this particular verse has been misinterpreted, that you don't need to worry about the fruits. Now you don't need to worry about the fruits if you're trying to perform your action. What is your first priority is? Your first priority is to perform your action, and when you perform your action, the fruit is not under your control. So how does it matter? Means what can you do? Means if you have done a job, fruits are not within your control. So he says your whole emphasis should be on doing your duty rather than actually finding out what will happen and what will not happen. He says that if I participate in this war, I'll kill my relatives. And what is the use of this battlefield? He says that don't go into that negativity. There is no scope of negativity. There is no scope of being escapist. What you have to do is that you have to concentrate on what the duty you have been given, what the duty you have taken, what the swadharma you have accepted. Swadharma means the dharma that you have accepted by your own self. No one has imposed anything on you. So he says that you have to concentrate on what you have got to do. And that's where he takes that risk perception theory in psychology. This is called as cognitive theory. And in sociology, it is called as cultural theory. And here, that is what means is that everyone perceives risk in a different manner. That's where the risk perception theory comes in. And throughout the chapter 2, off and on, that's what Krishna has been emphasizing in, and he has been using a very common sense approach. And he used a very common sense approach in maximum risk theory, in explaining that you don't have anything to lose. Means now you don't have any alternative. The only alternative that you have is to fight. Because if you run away from this battlefield, that is not going to help you, because you are a Kshatriya, you have got a dharma, you have got a duty to perform. And if you perform your duty, if you die, you'll be remembered as a hero. If you don't die and if you win it, then you'll get a kingdom. And that is what you have been waiting for 10 years. Now here, common sense approach, I'll tell you what. I'm trying to make a distinction between Krishna and Arjuna. Arjuna is a leader in making, whereas Krishna is the leader. Now, this is the picture that we see in front of the screen, is that Karn is stuck with that wheel. His wheel is stuck in the mud, and he's trying to pull his wheel out of that mud. And then he's taken time out, and Arjuna is waiting. He's waiting patiently for Karn to take out his wheel. Now, Krishna says that, what are you waiting for? You need to kill Karn right now. There is no point in actually waiting for it. But he goes into that morality of it. He goes into the ethics and legality of it. He says that, look, I cannot kill someone who is not prepared to fight. He's actually doing something else, and he's not having his bow and arrow with him. So this is not the right dharma. So he said, look, now you have to perform your duty. Now you're getting into that legality and morality. Here the common sense comes into play, and Krishna says that this is day 17 of the Mahabharata war. He says on day 13, your son Abhimanyu, he was literally murdered, and they had violated all the rules and regulations of war. Now if you go into this legality and morality of this, that this is not right and that is not right, then you won't be able to kill Karn. And Krishna knew that in the back of his mind, that Karn is a superior warrior than Arjuna. And because from day 13 to day 17, Arjuna has been trying very hard to kill Karn. And Karn had proved to be a very powerful warrior, and Arjuna was not able to kill Karn, and that's where Krishna takes a common sense approach. He says that if you need to make the best use of the opportunity that you have, time and tide waits for none. So if you go into that legality, it is the question of life and death. You may lose your own life. Now the next one is Draupadi in the court. Again, it is full of people. Now a woman is lost in a gambling. Woman is treated as a property. See where the common sense approach is. And they are 5 husbands. They have lost her in the gamble. Now the court is full of men people. It is full of all learned people like Vidur, like Bhishma, like Drona, like Kripachar, like Dhritarashtra. They all are in the court, but still a woman is called in the court, and she is being outraged of her modesty. They are trying to strip her. Now here Krishna again takes a common sense approach. Could you imagine that a person, a woman, a lady being in the court full of men, people trying to get rid of her clothes? There could be some ulterior motives, that's fine. But see where the common sense approach is, losing her in a gamble and then getting her in the court and getting rid of her clothes. See, Krishna uses a very common sense approach. No, you can't do that. Again, there's another common sense approach displayed by Mahatma Gandhi. During British rule, India had to pay tax on salt. So there was a salt tax that was imposed on all Indians. Mahatma Gandhi took this as a non-cooperation movement, and he said that there would be civil disobedience, and on March 12, 1930, he did a march which was called as Dandi March or Salt Satyagraha, just to break that law. Common sense approach. You have got the ocean, you have got the sea, you have got the man, you have got the land to make the salt. Then why not oppose the law? And he took that march with everyone and he broke the law. And that is the common sense approach. Means legality won't help you. The law of code won't help you. Somewhere, some places you have to take that common sense approach. And this is another example of common sense approach. And there's another one that I've got a small picture of that. You are fired. These days in corporate world, we don't use our common sense approach. Suppose if a high performing employee is underperforming, and what we do is that we get rid of that employee without actually taking a common sense approach of finding out what exactly the problem is, why from being a productive employee he has become an unproductive employee. What is the problem? It could be a personal problem, it could be a family problem, it could be something, it could be a health related problem. So in that situation, being a leader, being a manager, we need to take a very common sense approach. And I'm not kidding, I'm serious. There was an article written by Laurie Bodman. He said that in start of this millennia, common sense has died. And we don't, and in particularly in corporate world, it is in coma. We don't make use of common sense approach. We don't take use. We are very reluctant in using a common sense approach. And he wrote a very funny article, which was very appreciated by people. And he said that common sense died at the start of this millennia, and we are going to attend a funeral of common sense. Common sense is survived by one wife, discretion, one daughter, responsibility, son, reason, and two stepbrothers, half-wit and dim-wit. So that's what it is in the corporate world. We